Frankfort police are investigating after they say a bullet went through the floor of an apartment, making its way into the unit below, hitting a teenager who was asleep inside.
Someone working on a horse farm in Bourbon County found a human skull. Now investigators are trying to figure out who that skull belonged to.
The state of Kentucky supported me when they really didn't have to.
How a former UK football player is now making an impact on the state that had a big impact on his life.
This is WKYT News at 6.
Good evening. A teenager is in the hospital tonight after police say he was shot while sleeping. Frankfort police tell us the 19-year-old was in bed in his apartment when a bullet hit him in the hip.
Police believe someone in an upstairs apartment accidentally fired a gun and the bullet went through the floor. Now they want to know who fired that gun. Hillary Thornton has the latest in our top story at 6.
It was an abrupt wake-up call for one family inside of this Frankfort apartment building.
He woke me up with screaming pain, and we first thought he might have been having a muscle spasm or Charlie horse.
Mark Fitzgerald, however, quickly figuring out his 19-year-old grandson, Jordan Metz, was experiencing far from a muscle spasm.
It was a hole in his leg. And that's when we would look like a bullet shot, and then we seen the hole in the ceiling where it come through.
A bullet going through the floor of the upstairs apartment, entering the downstairs unit right above his grandson's bed.
He was in the bedroom in the bed, sound asleep.
Investigators then spending several hours out at the apartment building searching that unit they believe the bullet came from.
He actually went to the apartment where the bullet appears to have come from, and nobody was in that apartment.
Working now to track down who pulled the trigger and piece together why the gun was fired into the floor.
This is very unusual. You know, these kind of things don't happen often. Usually when they do, fortunately there isn't somebody at the sort of the receiving end, if you will. You know, the bullet will go into the floor or something like that, bury into some furniture. In this case, unfortunately, he happened to be in the middle of it.
As Met's family waits for some answers, and even as the teen recovers in the hospital, they remain mindful of how lucky he is.
It could have been worse. It could be looking at him. He could have been killed. And it's really a scary thought when you have to wake up and you find out, realize that you have been shot.
In Frankfort, Hillary Thornton, WKYT.
Metz is expected to be okay. His family says he suffered a broken pelvis. Police say it's too early to know if any charges will be filed in the case.
A mystery in Bourbon County. The coroner there says someone working on a horse farm found a human skull. The worker told investigators the skull was in a creek near Thrieve Farm in Paris. Cadaver dogs were brought in to look for more human remains, but they couldn't find any. Kristen Kennedy is tracking the investigation.
The Bourbon County coroner went out to Thrieve Farm Sunday after she says a farmhand found a human skull in a creek.
I just think it's weird. I didn't hear anything about it.
Dawn Jefferson has lived in Paris all her life, and her reaction was one we got a lot of Monday. Many called news of a skull on a horse farm surprising.
This is the first time I've heard of it, and yeah, it's different. Weird, kind of scary.
Investigators brought out cadaver dogs to see if they could locate any other bones. The coroner says they found nothing else. Right now, she's not sure of a gender or age on the skull. She's waiting for the medical examiner in Frankfort to take a closer look at it and determine an identity.
We did talk with a man working on this farm, and he told us that he had no comment.
Neighbors who also didn't want to go on camera were surprised to hear about the finding. Two we talked to had lived off Hutchison Road, very close to the creek, for decades. They had never discovered or heard of anyone else finding human remains before Sunday. In Bourbon County, Kristen Kennedy, WKYT.
Lexington police confirm Bourbon County investigators have contacted them to help with this case. They say it's too early to have any idea who the skull belonged to.
A Fayette County judge believes the case of a Marine's murder could go to trial early next year. Quincinio Canada and Dwayne Mulazim are accused of shooting and killing Jonathan Price during a robbery outside Austin City Saloon in 2014. The two are also charged in a series of robberies. Today, Judge Pamela Goodwine decided to split the robbery and murder cases so the capital case can be tried separately. She says her decision could change as the case moves through the court. Lexington police are still looking for the driver wanted for hitting and killing a man last week. Police say someone hit 52-year-old Roger Morrison with their car on New Circle Road near Industry Road early Friday morning. Morrison's body was found in the road. Police believe the car that hit him is a dark four-door car with damage to the front passenger side and windshield.
Firefighters investigating what sparked a fire at a Lexington apartment this afternoon. The fire started in a first-floor unit at Patchen Place Apartments about noon. Firefighters were able to keep the fire contained to that apartment, but the other units did have some smoke damage. No one was hurt, but firefighters say a cat was killed in the fire.
We just try to give it oxygen. We have the pet masks that were donated to us, and we try to give it our best effort. And we know how important people's pets are to them.
Firefighters say that everyone should be able to move back into their apartments except for the one where the fire started.
It's another warm day across the Bluegrass. Get out there and enjoy it because it may be the last dry day until the end of the week.
Oh boy, we're tracking some showers and storms moving in soon. Meteorologist Jim Caldwell has an early look at that forecast.
Yeah, several chances coming our way, starting with tomorrow. So you have the rest of the evening to kind of get out there and enjoy what little nice weather we have left. We are tracking plenty of blue skies, sunshine here in Lexington and many locations out there, not just here. We're at 80 degrees, though, right now. And the reason our feels-like temperature is so low is because look at that humidity. It's only at 34%. Winds are coming in out of the west-southwest around 16 miles per hour. That's also driving those temperatures up as well. Here's what we've got as far as our Defender radar network is concerned. No precipitation. We're just tracking some cloud cover with our satellite animation there. And as we look at our hour by hour, I'm keeping that mention of a stray shower across southeastern Kentucky at least alive for a little while longer. It would be a very small chance. Most of us are quiet throughout the rest of the evening. We get into the day tomorrow, though, and change arrives as we're tracking those showers and thunderstorms. Several chances starting with tomorrow. I'll break it all down coming up in just a few minutes.
New tonight, the political battle in Frankfort is escalating. Kentucky's Attorney General is asking for an investigation into Governor Matt Bevin. Andy Beshear has asked the Ethics Commission to determine whether the governor has used campaign contributions as grounds for firing state workers. Beshear's request comes days after Bevin announced he'd hire a private law firm to investigate whether former Governor Steve Beshear coerced state workers to donate to campaigns. A spokeswoman for the governor says the administration welcomes a parallel investigation.
A familiar former UK football player is back in the Bluegrass, but he's not spending his time on the gridiron. Instead, former UK quarterback Derek Ramsey is calling the shots as Kentucky's labor secretary. The governor appointed him to that position back in December. Our Amber Philbott sat down with Ramsey. She's live at the Catspies tonight, and she joins us now. Amber?
Good evening to you, Sam. You know, on a night that we're talking about current UK athletes, it is only fitting that we sit down and talk to a former UK great. Here in Kentucky, 400,000 people know what it's like to live with diabetes. It knows no boundaries, and Derek Ramsey knows that reality. Tonight, he's talking to me about how he hopes to be a healthy example for the thousands of workers he now represents.
He is arguably one of the best to wear the blue and white. When Derek Ramsey accepted a scholarship offer to play at the University of Kentucky in the early 70s, he just wanted to play football.
Touchdown for Ramsey.
What he did was make history.
You know, when I came to the UK in 1974, it wasn't the in vogue thing to have an African-American quarterback. And it took some getting used to, I think.
Ramsey led the Cats his junior year to a Peach Bowl win and would later go on to have a successful NFL career. His memories at Kentucky are some of his fondest. He is still grateful to the fans who he says put color aside.
I was able to, I guess, demonstrate not only as a player but as a person that I had the same values that they had.
On the field, Ramsey says he loved the challenge, and that hasn't stopped.
These are some of the cool things we do.
In December, a new challenge presented itself when Ramsey was named the new Kentucky Labor Cabinet Secretary. It was always in his playbook to get back to Kentucky, but the job had to be right.
I wanted it to be something where I was going to impact, where I was going to be able to make change, where I was going to be able to affect the lives of the people of Kentucky.
He admits he's still getting his feet wet overseeing the state's workforce of nearly 2 million. One of his goals is to make more apprenticeship opportunities available to help strengthen the workforce. He's also trying to be an example of a healthy employee.
I think what's helped me tremendously is because I've always lived a disciplined life.
That discipline is key for a daily tough opponent he faces. Ramsey has type 2 diabetes, diagnosed 6 years after the NFL.
I noticed that my vision was blurred, but also over the last 30 days, I lost about 30 pounds.
Despite a family history of diabetes, he admits he was blindsided when he found his blood sugar levels were dangerously high.
They did a blood test, and my blood sugar was 884. And so they put me in the hospital because they thought I was going to have a heart attack or stroke.
After that day, he took diabetes head on.
This is my success kit, is what I call it.
He now checks his sugar 5 to 6 times daily, packs his lunch,
That's lunch,
and is still committed to exercise. Walking has become a daily routine, 5 miles, all of it to help beat diabetes. Ramsey hopes to use his new position to reach out to the state's workforce, educating Kentuckians about diabetes and the importance of a healthy lifestyle. A winning game plan for the people of a state he first fell in love with all those years ago when he put on the blue and whites.
The state of Kentucky supported me when they really didn't have to. The state of Kentucky supported me when it wasn't the cool thing to do. And so when I needed them most, they were there. Well, now they need me, and I'm going to be there.
Well, one way that Derek Ramsey is going to do that is he is supporting the American Diabetes Association and their Step Out Walk to Stop Diabetes on June 4th at Keeneland. There's also a 5K run. You can learn more by looking for this story on WKYT.com. Sam, I got to go. The Catspies are ready to go, so I'll see you tonight at 11.
A familiar face in a not so, well, kind of a strange place, at least to him. This weekend, some workers at an eastern Kentucky gas station got a surprise when a celebrity pulled up.
Drew Carey, the host of The Price is Right, stopped at the Beattyville Shell station Sunday to fill up his car with gas. New at 6, Victor Puente caught up with the worker who met Carey.
It was the car that first attracted Diana Spencer's attention yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, it was a beautiful car.
Which led her to come on down to get a closer look and ask the driver a question.
Can I please take pictures of your car for my daughter? And he's like, sure, go ahead.
And once she was done, she had an observation.
When I got done, I was thanking him, telling him how beautiful it was and stuff, and I was like, you look just like Drew Carey. He said, that's because I am. And I was like, no, you're not. He's like, yeah, and he pulled out his glasses and put them on. I was like, oh my God, you are.
Unlike the car's driver, the clerks working that day are a little shy about being on camera, asking if we could only use their voices.
Well, I was sitting across the parking lot and she hollered and started screaming and said that it was the guy from Price is Right.
Spencer posted the pictures. They began to spread.
Lots of friend requests, reposts.
It wasn't just Spencer's friends who shared those photos. On his Twitter, Drew Carey confirmed he was driving through Kentucky and even retweeted one of her photos to his 654,000 followers.
I just thought it was amazing that he was in our little small town.
He was real nice and shook our hands and asked if we wanted to take pictures with him.
In Lee County, Victor Puente, WKYT.
You can watch Drew Carey on The Price is Right every day right here on WKYT at 11 a.m.